A killer is still on the loose after 2 women were murdered in Grand County 1 week ago.
She just had so much energy and such like a bright energy.
What friends say about the couple as the sheriff works to keep the community safe.
You know, as a dad, it's like this things can't be real.
She had so much more to do.
A crash here this weekend taking the life of a young woman from Sandy. Her family shares some memories tonight.
Warm and windy here across the state today, but coming up, more areas of smoke and some strong thunderstorms.
From drought to deluge.
Just farming, it's just you just roll with the punches, and there's always next year.
The double blow dealt to farmers in one central Utah town, and why these farmers say they may be down, but they're not out.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9, starts right now.
Tonight, the Grand County Sheriff's Office is assuring the public they're doing all they can to keep the community safe as they search for a suspect in the double homicide of 2 women.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher joins us live in studio tonight with reaction from the couple's co-worker and friend on how the small community is now coping. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob, it's just been so hard. Everyone in Moab is still in complete shock. With the update today, still leaving a lot of questions about what happened to the couple.
It's been exactly a week since Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner were reported missing. A week since worry turned to horror and heartache.
It's surreal. It's just having to talk about this and accept that it happened is it's shocking.
The Grand County Sheriff's Office is now officially calling their deaths in the La Salle Mountains a double homicide. On Tuesday, announcing they still have no suspect or reason or any indication why. They stress that public safety is paramount.
We've increased patrols on the mountain. We're doing everything we can. We both did overflights with helicopters. I want the public to know we're doing everything we can to maintain their safety.
It's hard to comprehend, especially knowing Kylan and Crystal.
She just had so much energy and such like a bright energy.
Maggie Keating worked with Kylan at the community-owned natural food store Moonflower Community Co-op in downtown Moab. She had to break the horrible news to their customers. Kylan was a friendly face for regulars and tourists for the past 4 years.
She would be the first person that, you know, a lot of people would see right when they walked in the door. Up at the register, everybody just can't say enough about how sweet Kai was.
The newly married couple always went to lunch together, Maggie says, both so in love in a small community that's now in disbelief over their deaths.
You know, people come from all over the world to have fun here. It's not a place where something horrible like this would happen.
The Grand County Sheriff's Office made another call for information today. They are working with the FBI and State Bureau of Investigations. Live in studio, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lauren, thank you. The mother of a 31-year-old man who was shot and killed by West Valley City Police 2 years ago has filed a federal wrongful death lawsuit against the department and the officers involved. Susan Neese spoke to Fox 13 News today and says her son did not have to die. District Attorney Sim Gill ruled the shooting justified. Neese says it was the officers' lack of empathy as well as training and protocols that led to the death of her son. She hopes to see heightened training for officers when responding to a person with mental health issues.
They were trained to be dispatched to, you know, encounter somebody, to, you know, maybe, you know, the way they handled it, to arrest him, you know, rather than address the fact that he was in mental distress.
Neese believes all the officers involved deserve some type of disciplinary action. She believes Sergeant Tyler Longman, the officer who fatally shot her son, should not be allowed to serve the community nor carry a weapon.
Tonight, a family is mourning after a head-on crash at 94th South near 17th East in Sandy over the weekend. It took the life of a young mother of 3 identified as 28-year-old Ashley Robinson.
Fox 13's Brian Schnee spoke with her family today about who and what she leaves behind.
Flowers now climb a street sign in Sandy.
Went to Smith's to get some diapers for her new baby and was on her way home.
Ashley Robinson was driving home on 9400 South Sunday night. Another vehicle veered into the eastbound lanes from the opposite side of the road and collided head-on with Ashley's car.
You know, as a dad, it's like this thing just can't be real.
Ashley's family informed shortly after the crash that she didn't make it.
I said no. I don't know how many times, you know, because it's not real over the phone, you know.
They came together on Tuesday to grieve, to share memories.
An amazing person.
Amazing mother, amazing cousin, amazing daughter.
Less than a month ago,
Her new daughter will be a month in 2 days.
Ashley had given birth to her third child. A week ago, she celebrated her 2-year wedding anniversary with her husband, Cody.
She always wanted to get the family together and, you know, loved these little kids more than anything in the world.
She leaves behind her 3 children, husband, and her loving family and friends, who all say that Ashley was taken too soon.
They were just there, you know, and you can reach out and touch them and give them a hug, and the thought that that's not a reality anymore is just heartbreaking.
If you'd like to help out the family, we have a number of links on our website, fox13now.com. Now, in terms of the incident that took place here this weekend, as of Tuesday afternoon, Sandy City Police telling me they do not have a determined cause of this crash. In Sandy, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
There is a new face in the race for Utah's hotly contested 4th congressional district. Jake Hunsaker kicked off his campaign for the Republican nomination today. He's challenging incumbent Congressman Burgess Owens.
One of the things that I struggle with are leaders who politicize issues when there's no need to politicize issues, who oversimplify, who cycle through sound bites and go through the cable news rotation rather than rolling their sleeves up and getting to work on behalf of the people in their district.
Hunsaker works in tech. He says he wants to see more done to address things like intellectual property and data privacy at congressional levels. Because he's seeking to put Owens in a Republican primary, Hunsaker plans to gather signatures to earn a spot on the ballot, in addition to going through the state Republican Party convention.
Well, the sun was shining today, but it was obscured by the smoke again. And now we're going to have some more storms.
Temperatures, though, this evening, perfect.
Yes, it is
very
a very comfortable summer night. The kids are out playing, so keep an eye out in the neighborhood now that it's getting dark out. But air quality has gotten a little bit worse over the last few hours. Right now, towards Layton specifically, I'm seeing a few more of those locations trending towards the orange level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. For the Salt Lake Valley, the middle of the valley, so Midvale over towards the West Valley and Magna areas, that's again trending a little bit more towards unhealthy for sensitive groups. Same thing for Park City and Heber. It's a little bit worse than it was earlier today. Provo, Utah County, same thing as earlier today. And then for southern Utah, also moderate with some good air mixed in. But we did have mostly clear sky here along the Wasatch Front today. Bigger picture, we do have a fairly dry 7-day forecast, but here's what you need to know for tomorrow morning. About 70 when you wake up, by noon into the 80s. And then, yes, a chance for some storms. I'll let you know where and the main threats coming up.
But coming that fast, that quick, that was a little bit too much all at once.
Record rainfall has left a long-standing impact on farmers in Delta before the fall harvest. Tonight, how they're preparing to move forward.
The Salt Lake County District Attorney wants to vacate the convictions of 2 men. Here, the mistakes that were made over 10 years ago that have come to light.
School districts across the nation are facing a bus driver shortage. What extra incentives are being offered in one district?
And you felt it, especially in your wallet, when the jump at the gas pump across the state might subside.
We're 9 days away from the start of the college football season here in Utah. Coming up, we'll hear from the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies.
Tonight, the Salt Lake County District Attorney is asking for the convictions of 2 Utah men to be overturned.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins reports the move comes after technicalities were uncovered more than a decade after their convictions.
The integrity of our system is based on the fact that we follow our own rules.
Salt Lake County's top prosecutor asked a judge to roll back the convictions of 2 men he believes were wrongly condemned.
So there was a series of procedural errors that were conducted but the end of which is a conviction that can't stand. And
The motions filed Monday come at the request of the DA's Conviction Integrity Panel, which found the men were juveniles when they were mistakenly convicted in adult court.
I looked at those cases and said, wait a second, this actually should never have happened.
Marlo Navarro's birth date was wrong when he pleaded guilty to distributing drugs in 2010. Sim Gill says the 17-year-old should have never been in 3rd District Court to begin with. The same thing happened to Jose Barrera Landa 2 years earlier. The prosecutor's office believed he was 19 when he was really 17, pleading guilty to misdemeanor sexual battery. Defense attorney Benji McMurray argues staff didn't double-check basic information and the two should have been in juvenile court. Both were deported because of the convictions.
But for these wrongful convictions, they probably could have remained in the United States and had hope of establishing their families here and building a life for themselves here. But because of these wrongful convictions, that was taken away from them.
Well, Gill believes there could be even more mistakes like this, errors that could open up the county to be liable for potential lawsuits. Reporting in Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And the victim in Barrera Landa's case was consulted before a request to vacate his conviction. Gill says the female victim supports the decision and neither case will be re-prosecuted.
Daggett County is asking a federal judge to dismiss a lawsuit filed over abuses at what used to be its jail. A group of inmates sued, saying they were subjected to dog and taser attacks while incarcerated there. The jail was shut down in 2017 when the allegations came to light. The Department of Corrections settled parts of the lawsuit, but now a new court filing obtained by Fox 13 News say the misconduct was the actions of a former deputy, and the county hasn't had a jail since it shut down. It's unknown when the federal judge might make a ruling on the motion.
Well, a judge has canceled an upcoming hearing alleging fraud in a lawsuit between the brother of John Huntsman Jr. and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. James Huntsman claims his tithing money did not go to charitable causes, but instead went to pay for things like City Creek Center in downtown Salt Lake City. Huntsman wants a refund of his tithing and damages if he wins. The church has asked the judge to dismiss the lawsuit.
New at 9, the central Utah community of Delta is still cleaning up after last week's storm dropped a record-breaking amount of rain.
Left quite the mess behind. Fox 13's John Franke visited farmers in Delta today who, after dealing with a drought, suddenly have a new problem on their hands.
That's kind of the color that it should have been before the hail hit it.
If you weren't in Delta when the skies opened a week ago, just look at these crops to see the path taken by the storm.
And then when that hail comes through, it just thrashed it.
Justin Louder has farmed here his entire life. This year was a challenge before the storm even hit.
The crops were, kind of drought stricken throughout the whole year, and we are praying for rain, and then it all comes at once. And
that rain came, but for many farmers, it wasn't the perfect storm.
It dumped. It's like a major reservoir right over the top of us, and when all that water hits at once, it does damage to your crops.
To show you the damage caused by the hail, take a look at this field. The trees over here shielded part of the field, and you can see the hay here. That is the deep green. That is still good. It was protected. But here in the foreground, you'll see the hay is white. It has been damaged, and at this point of the season, it most likely can't be salvaged.
So the storm came just about the time that most of the people were in the middle of harvesting or just starting to harvest.
David Johnson showed us one of his fields of alfalfa seed.
Basically knocked all the burrs off the plant, so they're all laying on the ground and you can't salvage them.
This 20-acre plot could have produced 500 pounds of seed worth thousands of dollars. If the storm had hit a few weeks later, the seeds would have been harvested. The size and timing of the storm acted like a double punch. Even so, Johnson and others here say the loss isn't catastrophic.
Just farming, it's just easy, roll with the punches, and there's always next year.
But for next year,
if we don't have a wet winter, next year is going to be really serious.
These farmers are praying for the rain and snow to come when it can do the most good.
Without that snowpack, we don't farm, and right now our reservoirs are pretty depleted. Well, they're very depleted actually. So we need the water in the mountains this winter, not here now.
In Delta, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Boy, the extreme weather. We have had it here in Utah, as they've had in many places around the country, but you can see the devastation that it's causing for the farmers.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, with monsoon season, as they were saying, we need the rain, but it was just a problem when it all came so quickly.
Not like that, we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much too fast.
Yeah, we really are banking on this winter to make up for our reservoirs. So we still obviously have a ways to go with our drought, and we'll go ahead and we'll start with air quality, because I know this is top of mind for many of you. Taking a look at our smoke analysis across the country, as you can see here out west, dealing with the thickest smoke from Minneapolis all the way over into Northern California. We do have some smoke here along the Wasatch Front, but the thickest of it over into Nevada and up into Idaho. But Salt Lake City, currently it's 81 degrees. It's been pretty breezy today, but the wind has calm down. So we do have our wind right now out of the southeast about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And our top weather headlines, here's what you need to know as you get ready for bed tonight. Still some patchy smoke in the forecast. We are not in the clear. As long as those fires are burning off to our west, we are going to have on and off smoke here across Utah. We also have the chance for some isolated storms tomorrow, and strong wind will be possible with these storms. And then coming up, we'll have your smoke forecast later in the hour. But temperatures currently still a little warm in Salt Lake at 81 degrees. It feels really nice outside right now. Down into St. George, currently 90, and then we have 70s and 80s for Price, Hanksville, over towards Moab, close to 80 degrees currently in Moab. So our wind has calmed down. We have mostly clear sky from Santaquin up towards Logan, over towards Tooele and Grantsville, and then down into southern Utah. We also have the clear sky. Clear sky here mostly across the region, and Futurecast does pick up on the chance for some thunderstorms in the overnight hours, mostly for Wednesday into Thursday. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about Wednesday evening here. Tonight, clear sky here across Utah, but then tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, the chance for some thunderstorms, mostly for the mountains of Utah and mostly for central and eastern and northeastern Utah. So we're going to track that chance for some showers here across the state second half of the day tomorrow through early on Thursday. This is 5:30 in the morning on Thursday. Then we'll go ahead and we'll walk you further in that Futurecast later in the hour. But tomorrow morning when you first wake up, about 60 degrees in Provo, mid-60s for Ogden, 71 in Salt Lake tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s for Provo, 91 for Salt Lake, 90 in Ogden at 4 p.m. and 86 degrees in Logan at that time. Now, St. George, you're close to 105 for several days. You're close to 105 through Friday, and then even beyond that, maybe even making it more than 105 by Saturday. And then you'll likely cool down by next Tuesday just a little bit, but noticeably cooler. And then for the Wasatch Front, our cool down will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the mid 80s. And then we have a lot of sunshine in the forecast. So coming up later in the hour, let's talk more about that smoke that's going to likely move in here across northern Utah, the timing of it coming up.
Hate to see that return, Allison. See you soon. Thank you. Still to come, the president facing criticism over his decision to withdraw troops from Afghanistan by the end of the month. How Utah Senator Mitt Romney is responding tonight.
When you can't watch Fox 13 News live, watch us streaming online for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device.
The sooner we can finish, the better. Each day of operations brings added risk to our troops. But the completion by August 31st depends upon the Taliban continuing to cooperate.
The U.S. is sticking to the deadline for withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. President Biden says things are on track, but he has asked for contingency plans in case he determines the U.S. needs to stay longer. The Taliban has said there will be consequences if the U.S. doesn't leave by August 31st. In total, the White House says about 70,000 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan. Today, Utah Senator Mitt Romney issued a statement on the withdrawal deadline saying, We have been given every indication that evacuation efforts cannot be concluded by August 31st. Americans are still stranded in the provinces outside of Kabul, and it's unacceptable that there is still no plan to get these individuals to safety.
In Washington, D.C., House Democrats managed to push through the $3.5 trillion budget blueprint, which will underpin President Biden's entire domestic agenda. Moderates wanted to prioritize the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal passed in the Senate first, but ultimately, they'll have to wait until at least next month.
If the infrastructure package does not succeed, then of course there's absolutely no chance for budget reconciliation to succeed.
The House's parliamentary procedure to advance the budget resolution pushes forward voting rights legislation as well. However, many Republicans argue lawmakers should not move forward with either bill as the crisis in Afghanistan unfolds, saying they should focus their efforts on evacuations.
Coming up after the break.
They can mandate it for students, but they have to allow broad exceptions.
A bill that banned government from mandating the COVID-19 vaccine has died.
School districts across the state are working to fill vacancies for bus drivers and lunchroom workers. We'll show you what incentives are being offered and who's having to step in to help.
It was a big win for Tony Finau and his followers in Utah. Coming up, he'll tell us what those mean to him while he's out on tour.
I think we need to be watching very closely.
A law that blocked the state of Utah from mandating the COVID-19 vaccine has now expired.
Fox 13 News has learned talks are underway on Utah's Capitol Hill about which government entities can start requiring the vaccine.
Fox 13's Ben Winslow has the very latest from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Earlier this year, the legislature overwhelmingly passed House Bill 308, which blocked government from mandating the emergency COVID-19 vaccine.
With the full authorization of the Pfizer vaccine, it makes House Bill 308 essentially over.
Its sponsor says it means government can begin mandating the COVID-19 vaccine in Utah.
It actually does. So it kind of reverts back to how vaccines were considered before the coronavirus. Which is government has the authority to mandate them. What we've seen, though, is in practice, vaccine mandates have only been used in school settings. So for public education or higher education.
So far, no city or county Fox 13 has reached out to is planning to issue a mandate for employees. But Fox 13 has learned the University of Utah is in talks with Governor Spencer Cox and legislative leadership about what to do. In an email updating the fall semester with COVID-19, the U's leadership says they're discussing masking policy in indoor spaces on campus, including classrooms and other common areas. And with the FDA granting full approval of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine this week, we are working with state leaders to explore greater flexibility for the university to manage its pandemic response.
They haven't said exactly what they're planning, but they have been in discussions about whether and to what extent they should be mandating vaccines at the university.
House Bill 308 dying could also allow the COVID-19 vaccine to be required for back to school, like shots for other viruses, at least for those eligible.
At this point, COVID is considered to be the exact same as any other vaccine. So they can mandate it for students, but they have to allow broad exceptions to that.
Representative Spenlove says those exemptions include religious, medical, or even personal reasons. But he warns the legislature will be watching to see what happens next.
Listen, I'm encouraging everyone to get vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. My family's vaccinated. I'm a strong advocate for it. But at the same time, we shouldn't be allowing governments to compel people to do something like this.
The American Federation of Teachers told me they believe the COVID-19 vaccine should be required for eligible students, just like schools do for polio, measles, and other diseases. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Taking a look at where we stand with the pandemic in Utah tonight, there were 1,141 new COVID-19 cases today and 9 new COVID deaths reported. The weekly positivity rate now is 14.8%. More than 5,700 Utahns have been vaccinated in the past day, and more than 2,800 Utahns have become fully vaccinated.
A new study shows how the pandemic has impacted women's mental and physical health and their resilience. Researchers with the Utah Women in Leadership Project at Utah State University have taken the last several months to study the connection between having a resilient mindset and reported well-being levels all during the pandemic. They found that for the women who surveyed, having support from a spouse or partner can really make a big difference.
The best mental and physical health were people that had that resilient mindset and had help around the house with their spouse. So chore sharing is what we call it.
I have to agree with that. In addition to having a supportive partner, researchers say having the ability to work from home or at the office can greatly contribute to physical and mental health, as well as decrease the chances of burnout.
A nationwide bus driver shortage has school districts getting creative.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn went to the Canyon School District in Sandy today to see where they stand with this shortage.
Jeremy Wardle's been driving.
Just loved it. It's been a blast.
In a big yellow bus for more than a decade.
I started in college about 15 years ago.
Unfortunately, he's struggling to get enough people behind the wheel.
I've never seen COVID before either, and that might have something to do with it.
Canyon School District needs 20 more bus drivers.
It's constant triage to keep everything in flow.
Even calling in other people to make sure kids have a ride.
So we've had to call on a lot of office staff, mechanics, myself included. I've driven every day this year so far.
And it's not just people needed on the roads.
We are currently have about 45 positions open for classroom aides and about 62 positions open for lunchroom workers.
A spokesperson for the district says it hasn't been easy filling some jobs this year.
It's a challenge every summer to fill those positions, but this year I think we're all coping with that post-pandemic labor shortage.
It's a race to get more people inside these big yellow school buses and all the positions open in the district.
You get to see the kids after they've had their long day in school, and a lot of them want to kind of let their hair down and have fun with the bus driver, and that's what we're there for.
To help fill the 20 vacancies, the district is now starting bus drivers at more than $21 an hour, plus extra incentives for people who stick around, $500 after staying for 6 months, and then an additional $700 for people who stay for a full year. In Sandy, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
When Fox 13 News reached out to other school districts, we found some are facing shortages for certain jobs too. The Alpine District says they have about 30 bus driver openings and also need lunchroom workers. The Murray District needs lunchroom workers and support staff, such as classroom aides. Coming up, gasoline prices in Utah have been climbing all summer long. Now they're $4 a gallon in some places, when we may see some relief.
Plus, our relief from the smoke isn't lasting long. Coming up, I'll let you know what you can expect over the next couple of days.
Welcome back, everyone. If you love Dixie State and Utah Valley University sports, you will be happy to hear you'll be able to watch more of those games and matches on TV. ESPN will be covering Western Athletic Conference football and basketball games. Now, the deal includes select regular season men's basketball games and the championship game for men's and women's basketball tournaments. Administrators at Dixie State believe this could be a game changer.
That's going to definitely benefit us, and also Utah Valley, which is a WAC school as well. So being able to have those four programs being able to be on some equal footing there is going to help us in recruiting. It's going to help us be able to tell our stories and have our student athletes get exposure that they may not been able to have access to over the last couple of years.
Exciting for fans and athletes there. Southern Utah University joins the WAC next July.
The Park City Rotary Club held a special program today honoring hundreds of volunteers who helped run a COVID-19 vaccination clinic. Summit County recruited 450 volunteers to help process records, manage traffic, and monitor recovery zones. The team also included medical professionals who administered the vaccines. In total, more than 15,000 volunteer hours were contributed to the effort.
Rotary Club exists to do service for our community. And we supported this effort because it was something critical to the community to have this vaccination clinic work.
The Community Award was also presented to the owners of the Utah Film Studio where the vaccine clinic was held, and Summit County leaders Derek Moss and Chris Crowley, who oversaw the entire effort.
Still ahead tonight, some Park City police officers are going the extra mile to give back to kids in need. The touching thing they're doing to help out kids in a big way, in a story you do not want to miss.
Coming up in sports after yesterday's big win, Tony Finau will tell us about representing the state of Utah on the PGA Tour. And college football practices roll on. We'll hear from the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies as the season's set to start next week.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. Bob Evans, Kelly Chapman with us tonight. We've got storms headed our way again. Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Maybe some cooler temperatures as well.
Cooler temperatures.
Right now, Utahns, man, we have had some of the highest gas prices ever this summer. But how much longer will you be paying more at the pump?
Fox 13 Spencer Joseph looked into that and why gas prices are so high in Utah in the first place.
As summer comes to an end, gas prices have continued to stay high. Some places around the Salt Lake Valley even seeing as much as $4 a gallon, even for regular gas.
Fundamentals are basically what's at work here.
Market fundamentals are basically things that have a direct impact on pricing, and right now it's hitting Utah hard. Anything from the pandemic to the stock market has an impact on our gas. Thomas Holst with the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute explains that it's mostly the price of crude oil driving our costs up.
Price for crude oil is between $65 and $70 a barrel.
Crude oil makes up about 60% of the price of gasoline.
Utah and the rest of the West Coast have some of the highest prices in the nation. According to AAA, Utah's average is $3.83 a gallon. That's well above the national average. Daggett County holds the state's current highest average at $4.10. But Aldo Vasquez from AAA says those prices didn't stop people from traveling over summer.
We saw that Americans were getting out there and getting in their summer plans and going to their summer destinations, especially after a year of being cooped up at home.
But this isn't just about how much it's going to cost you at the pump. It's going to affect pretty much everything for Utahns. And the high cost at the pump means goods will cost more on the shelves.
Yes, there is a direct correlation. Prices are an integral part of any transportation that occurs.
So as our pumps keep ticking away, the main question is, when will these high prices end?
If there would be like this perfect recipe for cheaper prices is kind of what we're starting to see at the moment. We'll likely see less expensive prices in the near future.
While it might not be a big drop, it looks like a little relief will be coming soon to Utah roads. Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now to a story that is positively Utah. Some lucky young people are getting some new bikes.
It's all thanks to the Big Brothers Big Sisters program of Utah, Park City Police, as well as Storm Cycles. And when the Big Brothers Big Sisters Club found that many kids in the program did not have bikes of their own, they reached out to the police department to find out what they could do. Now, unclaimed bikes at the police department are being fixed up with the help of Storm Cycles to give them to children in need.
It's a great program, and kids were so happy to see the bikes and try them on. We also gave them some helmets too.
How exciting for all those kids. While they say many kids use their bikes to ride to school, it's so important to give them their helmets as well. And of course, they use those bikes in Park City to enjoy the trails.
Well, if they're going outside to ride bikes tomorrow, better take a rain slicker with them depending on where they are.
Really?
In Utah.
Storms in the forecast, Alice?
Yeah, we do have some storms in the forecast for second half of the day tomorrow. Mostly high base storms, and the main threats will be wind. We'll get into those details later in this forecast, but I wanted to start with our fire first because our surface smoke forecast is obviously top of mind as we do continue to still have those fires burning off to our west. So the worst of it still into California and Nevada, but here across the Wasatch Front by midnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we likely could see some more smoke moving into the Wasatch Front and then filling in the Wasatch Front for Thursday morning. So something we're keeping our eye on, absolutely. But as you wake up tomorrow here in Salt Lake, we'll have some areas of patchy smoke, temperatures about 70 degrees at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. And then by 10 o'clock in the morning, we're close to 80 degrees. But second half of the day tomorrow, we need to be weather aware, a chance for a few thunderstorms. Nothing that's really going to be widespread, cause major problems here across the state, but I'll go ahead and I'll get into those details right now. So the storm threat for tomorrow does bring that chance for thunderstorms, mostly into central and eastern Utah. This does include parts of the Wasatch Front, mostly though just near Provo and a little further south down towards Richfield, and this does include up towards northeastern Utah. So overnight temperatures about 60 to 70 for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. Logan tomorrow morning in the 50s, and St. George around 70 tomorrow morning. By second half of the day tomorrow, 5 p.m., we're going to have our temperatures for Provo and Logan in the mid to upper 80s, Salt Lake and Ogden around 90, and then for St. George, you're close to 105 for several more days. So tonight, clear sky. By tomorrow afternoon, we start seeing some increasing clouds for the Wasatch Front, and then we'll see the chance for some thunderstorms to develop mostly along the highest terrain for central and northeastern Utah and eastern Utah. But heading into Thursday morning, we are going to continue with a chance for a few thunderstorms, mostly near the Colorado border by 9 a.m. on Thursday, but we'll have just this quick little storm that moves through. Isolated chances for you to see that precipitation and also gusty wind. Damaging wind will be one of the primary concerns with those of storms that do develop tomorrow. So our 8 to 14 day outlook here across Utah actually brings us wetter than average, just a little bit here across Utah, and we will want to keep our eye out for that. That is again week 2, so beyond our 7-day forecast, we likely end up seeing more precipitation here across Utah, and that cuts off at about Salt Lake. So we'll want to watch for that, especially with monsoon season. And for St. George, we're close to 105 through Friday, and then we're going to keep those temperatures close to 105 through the weekend. And then by next Tuesday, once we see that pattern potentially changing to be a little bit of a wetter and cooler pattern for St. George into the upper 90s. And for the Wasatch Front, isolated thunderstorms for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're going to have our temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, so pretty comfortable this weekend. And by Sunday, we'll have our temperatures in the 90s. Now, keep in mind, we likely could see some more smoke moving into northern Utah on Thursday. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out sunny. We'll see increasing clouds, and we'll see a chance for some isolated thunderstorms, that main threat being wind tomorrow, and overnight temperatures about 60 to 65.
In 9 days, the college football season in the state begins with Utah hosting Weber State. Fox 13's Andrea Urban asked head coach Kyle Whittingham about the morale of his players.
You always talk about football ability and everybody's skills, but how is everyone doing mentality-wise?
Yeah, that's a good question because this grind, there's no preseason games in college football, and so you've got essentially 4 weeks of hitting each other, and gets old, and it takes its toll on the guys. But we're out of fall camp now, so that was kind of a transition getting back into school and changed up the routine, which was a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I think they've handled it well, but it is a challenge.
BYU wrapped up their fall camp today. The Cougars will now focus on getting ready to play Arizona in 11 days. Head coach Kalani Sitake said they'll unveil their depth chart tomorrow, so we'll know who will be the Cougars starting quarterback after a solid fall camp.
I like what I've seen through camp, the chemistry on our team, the connection that they have to each other, and also to the fan base. And my expectations are for our guys to perform at the best. We need to get timed out so that we show up there in Vegas and that we're performing at our best in all 3 phases, and that we have all those guys ready to roll.
The Aggies have not named their starting quarterback yet. Returning starter Andrew Peasley and transfer Logan Bonner are the top candidates. Offensive coordinator Anthony Tucker says they've competed hard every day as they install a new offense.
There's a ton of growing pains that you go through from spring to now, and then fall camp with the grind of fall camp. But I think they've showed up every day. They've responded. I think, really gotten into like a good rhythm the last week. I'm really happy with, especially now that camp's just about over. We got a couple more days of some fine tuning and things like that. But I'm really excited about the stride they've kind of hit here in the last couple of days.
Well, Tony Finau doesn't have long to celebrate his second win on the PGA Tour. The second tournament of the playoffs starts Thursday. And it's a big one now that Tony has the #1 spot in the FedEx Cup standings. But after his win on Monday, he talked about how big the win was for him and his fans in Utah.
It was huge for me, it's huge for my family, huge for all my supporters back home in Utah. I have so many people that reach out to me, tell me they're fans, and I really feel it. Utah's a great place. Utah's always home for me, and so many people have helped my career, have supported me through my PGA Tour career, my upbringing. I have so many family, friends, and supporters back home in Utah and really throughout the nation. So this is, for all of them, and I'm excited that we can share this together.
He represents us well.
He does.
Yesterday during that tournament, Twitter was going nuts about him possibly winning.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Although Utah's home for Tony, where does he live right
He
now?
has a house in Scottsdale where it's a little better for golf.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Year-round there.
He's a Utahn, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations again. That's exciting.
That's great.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. He's not the artist formerly known as Prince. He's the artist formerly known as Kanye West.
Huh?
Yeah, Kanye reportedly filed paperwork in California to legally change his name to Ye.
Yay!
As in Kanye. If a judge signs off, his full name will be dropped altogether in favor of just Ye. In the documents, Kanye says the change is being made for personal reasons, but did not elaborate. Ye is a long-time nickname that he's used, also the name of the album he released in 2018.
Yee, like Yeezy.
No.
No.
Yay, as in
Either
yay.
would work, though.
All in favor?
Quick cast next.